The federal government recently launched a program to send millions of at-home COVID tests to Americans who sign up through that website, covidtest.gov. The tests are free and they're convenient, but many of them could have been delivered during last week's big winter blast, and that could be a problem. Justin Simmons is the CEO of My Labs Direct. He is joining us today from Dallas to explain how the cold weather could affect the accuracy of those at-home tests. So Justin, thanks for joining us. Let me ask you, what's the big concern here, especially with tests that were delivered during that cold weather we had last week?
Well, first, thanks for having me on. I think the big concern is that the way these tests are manufactured, obviously they need to be maintained at certain stability ranges, both for transport and when we're holding them in our homes. So falling outside of that optimal range could obviously impact the accuracy of the test. And that's something that consumers need to be aware of, certainly in areas where it's extremely cold, as was the case here last week in North Texas and across the state.
So the concern is if they were maybe put into a mailbox or someplace where that cold weather was present for quite a while, then those tests would then be bad. So how cold does it have to be before it starts to affect the accuracy of those tests?
So if you look at the package insert for most of these tests, it looks like, somewhere below 39 degrees, we start to fall outside of what is optimal range, and then above 86 degrees Fahrenheit could impact the stability of that sample or the accuracy of the sample overall. We noticed at one of our testing sites early on when things were really cold, we went through a really aggressive cold snap where we were in the sub 20s. And we saw that when we would run a test outside at one of the testing sites, we'd actually get an inconclusive where the lines wouldn't show up on the test. And so we discontinued use for that day until we could accommodate keeping the tests in a warm, controlled environment. And so witnessed that firsthand again, but I think the package insert kind of tells the story that we want to maintain these tests at a level, both again in transport and when we maintain them at home. In the case that your delivered tests, keep them at room temperature, at ambient temperature is what the manufacturer is recommending.
So maybe the more challenging part of this is there a way to figure out if the test that I have in my hand is still working right? Is it going to produce an accurate result if it was left outside during the cold last week?
I don't know that there's anything that we can do. Again, anecdotally, it's hard to determine. I don't know that there's any telltale signs. I think that if you do see an inconclusive, meaning no lines are showing up on that test, that obviously there's an issue. The test could have been compromised, but nothing that I think we can do to ensure the accuracy of that test otherwise. So that it's just kind of a tough situation.
I've got just a couple of seconds left. Where's the best place in my home to store these tests once I get them?
I would just say, again, somewhere in the bathroom, maybe somewhere at room temperature, at ambient temperatures. That's going to maintain the stability and really the shelf life of these tests that we're seeing anywhere between, couple of years to 3 years. It seems that these will preserve themselves.
Great information. Justin Simmons is the CEO of My Labs Direct, joining us from Dallas this afternoon. Justin, thank you for joining us this afternoon, sir.
Thank you, guys. Appreciate it.